Confession time. I think I did quite a bit to engineer Brexit. Now I know Rachel thinks at times I behave as if I'm lower than a snake's belly, but it's time to fess up and face the music. My mea culpa was prompted by this week's news that Sky News, quite rightly, is lobbying to ensure all political leaders have to take part in future general election debates. My role? Well, back in 2014, I hosted the first ever Brexit debate where Nick Clegg and Nigel Farage slugged it out over the rights and wrongs of being part of the EU. Nigel Farage has been quoted more than once as saying this got the entire Brexit referendum issue rolling. Whether true or not, the opportunity to put politicians on the spot and make them answerable for their actions or inactions must be part of our democratic process. The idea of the Independent Leaders Debate Commission ensures there will be no bias politically nor towards a broadcaster. This has to happen. So pledgers, why not join in with Gordon Brown and proclaim?
See, I agree with Nick. See, I agree with Nick. I agree with Nick. I agree with Nick.
I'm probably committing Harry-Carry with my career here. This is a Sky campaign. However, I think I completely get why TV companies want these leaders. I completely get it. I get it why politicians want it. It's more exciting. It's exciting.
Well, they don't. This is the key. Many of them don't.
Some of them do. Some of them do. That because it gets them more attention. I get why TV companies want it because it gets them high ratings. I get why journalists want it because it gives us bigger, better stories. But I'm not sure how good it is for democracy.
Really? OK.
I think the danger is that you turn the very serious business of politics into a soap opera. And I worry that people will vote on style over substance. You talked about that Nick Clegg debate. Yep. Now, you know, look at the power Nick Clegg got from that election debate. Did the Lib Dems deserve the kind of power they got as a result of that debate? No, I don't think they did. Nick Clegg himself, at that debate, he looked like a very substantive politician. We all thought he was great. And when they analysed why people thought he was great, the analysis came back. It was because he looked into the camera when he was talking and he remembered the first names of all the people who asked him questions. That made people... So they judged him, not his policies, they judged him on that performance. David Cameron, on those same debates, he did very badly. And he was judged because they thought he was too slick. His suit was too expensive, his hair was too neat. So people may well judge on how people look and not what their policies are.
Michelle, I want to bring you in a moment, just after we hear from... This is being led by Sky News. John Riley is the head. Let's hear what he says.
This is all about doing what's best for the voting public. At the moment, the politicians game the debates. Typically, the incumbent ducks and dives at the last minute, and the broadcasters, fearful of endangering their impartiality, are reluctant to point that out. The debates don't happen. The answer is an independent Leaders Debate Commission that organises the debates in a fair way, well ahead of any general election campaign beginning.
John Riley, head of Sky News. Michelle, I remember you saying some time ago you thought that election manifestos should almost be like legal documents, binding documents. So if you made... And I remember you having that debate. This would speak to that and your concern there, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so I feel a few different things about this. So I've always had a frustration about the fact that a potential politician can stand up on a platform, any platform, and pretty much say what they want to get elected. And then once they've got elected based on what they've promised, they can just do whatever they want. Exactly. And if they've said, oh, I don't know, we'll go against tuition fees, and people go, that's good, we'll vote for you, and then they go, actually, yeah, we'll do tuition fees. There's no ramifications apart from people say, oh, well, we'll see what happens in 5 years' time at the next elections, by which time most people have forgotten. So I've always felt uncomfortable about people not being held to account. But I also have a problem with the first past the post system.
Right. Okay.
So I would actually like to see the whole political system change to proportional representation because...
That's another debate.
No, don't worry. No, don't worry. I'm not going to take you down that line. So no, before I finish.
But are you in favour of this aspect, just the political...
So I think if you're going to do this...
Mandated to do it.
Yeah, I think if you're going to do this, you should have independent debates because when I ran for election, one of the things that I massively struggled with, and OK, I wasn't trying to be Prime Minister...
Yet.
My opponent would not, my Labour opponent, would not debate me at all. So any hustings, she would not attend, and I found that incredibly frustrating.
Rachel, I want to bring you in on a journalistic moment in a minute. Greg, there is a point to what Carol says. You might be elected style over substance. Nobody really wants that, do they?
I think you get elected style over substance anyway.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But I think if you look back over history, it's the Prime Minister of the day who, by and large, stops these happening.
Absolutely. It's what John Riley was saying. Absolutely right.
It's the Prime Minister
It's the incumbent
of
who's
the
the
day,
trouble.
and which didn't particularly help Mrs May at the last election.
No.
I mean, she probably
terrible.
might have
She
done
was
better
awful.
if she'd had the debate.
she would.
There's quite a good. I mean, Nick Clegg makes quite a strong argument for why you should have them.
We don't have a presidential system, we have a parliamentary system, but actually we have a presidential style of politics increasingly in this country. So the person, the woman or the man who's likely to become Prime Minister, or indeed, dare I say, Deputy Prime Minister, is terrifically important. And at the moment we don't, you know, the way in which some of these debates are constructed don't really put the individuals under the magnifying glass in a way in which I think the increasing presidentialisation of British politics demands.
Yeah, and I think he's got a point there. He's got a point that actually, we journalistically, we all talk about the leaders.
Yeah.
Basically. We all talk about the leaders, and that therefore we should actually see them debate with each other.
Rachel, I'm a journalist. You were once. It's fair to say that we have two party leaders now who, more than ever, try and dodge, really, proper inspection, proper debate. Greg rightly points to me, Jeremy Corbyn isn't exactly pouring into the TV. It's even more important we have these debates, isn't it?
I mean, at first, I didn't like the idea of having mandatory sort of presidential-style leaders' debates, but actually I've really come round to it. Remember back in 1960, of course, Michelle was too young, and actually I wasn't even born. There was the Nixon debate and Kennedy debate, and there was not another presidential leaders debate for another 16 years because the incumbent realised it.
But you know the intriguing thing about that?
Wait.
You'll know this? About the difference between
sweating.
radio and TV?
Yes, everyone on radio thought Nixon had won. Everyone who watched on television thought Kennedy had won because Nixon was in a muck
The
sweat.
fact that he was sweating.
Exactly.
Really good point.
The fact is that, you know, we do have presidential-style politics. Nick Clegg is right. But what I have been around during an election campaign, and it is far more important that this is run by an independent panel than by spin doctors who put, you know, a clack of people waving banners in a corner of a hangar to look as if, you know, Cameron's having a rally. It's much better that it's controlled not by the politicians but by the broadcasters. Can we just see it?
Before we move on,
we just have to see a clip, actually, of the 2010 Sky debates.
Good evening from the Arnolfini in Bristol and welcome to the Sky News Leaders Debate, round 2 of the first ever televised prime ministerial debates in the UK. Well, the three men who want to run the country after May the 6th are here and raring to go. So please welcome David Cameron, Nick Clegg and Gordon Brown.
Back in 1964, Alec Douglas-Home refused to do a TV debate, and he said it will turn politics into an arm of show business. Well, politics is now showbiz.
Can I just go back on that? We've been talking about a presidential-style election. Yes, it is. I think that's part of the problem. That is one of my biggest criticisms, that it's different in this country. In America, it is the president largely who makes policy. In this country, MPs still help make policy, and they're very important in all of this. And I think also what these leadership debates do is, if the leader cocks up on television, all those campaigning MPs in the constituencies, all those helpers, those party members who are out on the doors in all weathers trying to put some messages home, it doesn't matter what they say after that if the leader's cocked up on television. People aren't listening to them anymore. The leader is the one who's accountable. And I think it undermines those people and what the work they're trying to do. And also you said people dodge proper, MPs will try to dodge proper. Maybe they're not dodging inspection. Maybe they're just not very good on television. Look at the people who have been good on television. Tony Blair was like the Pied Piper. We all followed him over 3 elections because he was a great orator. And look what he turned out to be, a manipulative, messianic liar. You know, so he was great on television.
But who attends these debates? So, because one of the problems that I have...
chosen
No,
audience?
I don't mean the audience. I mean, one of the things that I get really frustrated about is... No, I don't. I mean, what do you have? Do you have a leader from every single political party?
Oh, well, that's where they got into trouble last time.
Because this is what I'm talking about, because I don't like the fact that it's always Tory v Labour and maybe like a little bit of Lib Dems chipped in the middle.
How else would you do it, though?
Well, I've told you I don't like first past the post. I would have proportional representation.
Quick one from you, Greg. The truth of the matter of these debates, chance are, in a sentence if you would, if you go in as a Conservative, you probably come out as a Conservative. If you go in as a Labour, you come... They probably don't change that much, do they?
I think that's probably right, although I do know one Labour MP, or former Labour MP, who thinks he lost because of the debate in 2010, and he thinks he lost because, you remember, Nick Clegg suddenly became very popular after the first debate.
Yes.
And then didn't do so well in the later ones, and he went back down again. Anybody who was doing postal votes tended to do it in that first week. And he lost on, this guy lost on the postal votes. Because he said they all suddenly voted for the Liberals.
We just need to make a couple of things clear. Firstly, Tony Blair, who has good legal connections, probably dispute the fact that he's been labelled a liar, so we'll say that. Why don't you get involved by going #MakeDebatesHappen? You can get involved on #MakeDebatesHappen.